Hey friends, if you were at Grace last Sunday, you know that it was Scout Sunday, where we recognized all of our young scouts, the work they're doing, the people they're becoming. It was a meaningful day, and I got to preach that morning. But there was one story that I would have loved to share, but I knew I couldn't. And this story comes from when I was a sacred studies teacher at a local Christian school. I remember the first second grade class I ever had. As I was meeting them that first week, trying to find my feet, meeting these folks for the first time, I'm welcoming them into Mr. Taylor's Sacred Studies class, instructing them to come in and quietly sit down. As I'm still greeting the people in line at the door, I hear laughter behind me, and I turn around to see that one of the second graders has climbed my classroom bookshelves and is doing his best lounging pose on the top of it. Yeah, they thought it was very funny. That class was wild, this young man chief among them. And it was just the most exasperating experience of my life that week, so badly that I just dreaded the return of this second grade class. And when they did return the next week, and I tried faking sick to get out of school, but my teacher wife had that sussed out. She said, "You're the teacher, you gotta go." Well, when I was there, I'd like to tell you it was out of my deep spirituality, but really it was just out of desperation that I said, before we do anything, we are gonna pray. But before I could so much as murmur a "Dear Lord," the very same young man who had climbed my bookshelves and was standing right next to my right said, "Oh good, we can pray for my dad. He's still in jail." And I don't know how I was able to do it at that moment, but God had my ears open enough to listen. And something in that moment broke. And it wasn't just my heart, but every barrier, every temptation I had to view this young man, this child in second grade, as anything less than he was, which was beloved of God, was washed away in me. And suddenly, my posture towards him was not one of antagonism or his adversaries, but it was of blessed mercy and compassion. And so we prayed for his dad and for him. And over the years I was there, of course, came to love this child as he grew. And we became fast friends at school. He behaved in my class. I always knew to give him something to do if he was a little squirrely, and I admired the young man he was becoming. Some years later, I got appointed to this church called Grace United Methodist in North Augusta. Maybe you've heard about it. And when I got here in July, I was asked to go pray at the Scouts Hut down there on the eve of one of their annual trips. And I said, I would love to. And as I showed up to pray for these scouts who were there earlier than this pastor likes to get to church on a Sunday morning, all ready and preparing to go on their trip, I was invited to step into their circle and to pray for the group. And as I did, I hear a voice to my right that just said, "Mr. Taylor." And I look, and there was the same young man who I had to coax down off of my classroom bookshelves some years earlier. He was taller, he was more well-spoken, and well on his way to becoming someone that I'm very, very glad to have in our community. And so I wanted to share this story. When we think about listening, we're in the middle of our evangelism series, and this week was all about listening, and we've talked about noticing, this kind of holy paying attention and attending to the lives of others. As Christians, as people, we often find ourselves in places of deep trust, whether that's pastoring, teaching, being a neighbor, or just being an adult that someone will look up to for help and to keep them safe. It is so important that we approach people viewing them the way God does. It reminded me of something I've said from the pulpit before, this quote by Dietrich Bonhoeffer that I'll bring up again. That's this: we must learn to view people more in light of what they suffer than in light of what they do. Behind every second grader climbing some bookshelves is a child in need of the love of God who's probably experienced some difficult things. Difficulty in life knows no age limit. And so this week, I pray that if you are needing someone to listen, to notice, and to truly see you, that you are graced with that. And I also pray that you are graced to do the same thing for others. You can do a lot of good, and I believe in you. So does God. God's peace.